Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me. My name's Ryan Bennett. I'm 34. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2 blocks from a park where Saturday mornings smell like donuts and cut grass. On weekdays, I help small businesses make money without chewing through their soul's operations, cash flow, quiet turns that keep the doors open. I don't look flashy. I don't want to. Like jeans, clean lines. In the sort of life where the loudest thing in the room is my espresso machine. Until that Thursday night, I thought my wife's family tolerated me, not loved. Tolerated. I told myself tolerance was a place you could build from. Melissa, my wife, had said, "We're doing a family dinner downtown Thursday." Mom booked it. She didn't ask if I could make it. She said it like traffic just there, expected part of the route. The restaurant was the Elcott, one of those polished steel, soft leather places with Valinone line parking and a wine list that reads like a novel. It's the kind of dining room where the light flatters everyone and the bill waits until it knows you're in a good mood. I wore a navy jacket, pressed shirt, dark shoes, enough to pass a Cynthia inspection. Cynthia's my mother-in-law. She can find a wrinkle in a shadow. I pulled into the loop, handed off my keys, and stepped into the lobby, where everything smells a little like whiskey and wood polish. The host, young, careful, hair parted, neat enough to serve drinks off, looked up with a professional smile. "Reservation under Bennett," I said. He scanned. "I don't see a Bennett," he said. "Got another name?" "Whitmore," I said. "Peter Whitmore, my father-in-law." His finger landed on a line. "Table for 6, he said. "They're already seated." Already seated. It wasn't the words. It was the weight in them. I looked past him and saw the half-moon booth by the window. Melissa, her parents, her sisters, Lindsay and Tara. They were dressed to the 9 silk sparkle, that effortless posture people practice in mirrors. Menus open, wine tilted in crystal. The picture of family if you didn't look too close. "Ryan," came a voice behind me. I turned. Cynthia stood there like she'd grown out of the marble floor. Blazer the color of old money, smile sharp as a key. She looked me up and down, a slow glide that said she'd found me wanting before we even started. "Oh, Ryan," she said. "You didn't think you were actually invited, did you?" The host shifted. Melissa kept stirring her drink at the table, like the ice might give her answers. Lindsay glanced over and then hid her grin behind her glass. Tara didn't bother to hide hers. I was used to Cynthia's jabs. She'd been practicing since our wedding day when she told me, "You clean up better than I expected," like it was a compliment I should kneel for. But this was different. This wasn't under the breath. This was theater. "There's a sports bar down the block," Cynthia said, lowering her voice like generosity. "Big screens, beer specials, more your scene." The host cleared his throat. "I can check the bar." "That won't be necessary," Cynthia said, dismissing him with a flick of fingers you'd use to shoo a fly. And here is where something cool and steady stood up inside me. Not anger, not hurt, a decision. Swallowed pride until I could do it in my sleep. But that night I remembered a name, a door, a piece of history in this exact room that Cynthia didn't know. I adjusted my jacket. "Actually," I said to the host, "could you do me a favor? Asked Marcus Bell to come out. Tell him Ryan Bennett's out front." Cynthia's laugh was all teeth. "Marcus Bell? The owner?" "Sure, Ryan, of course." The host wavered, looked at me, at Cynthia, back to me. "One moment, sir," he said, and slipped to a side hallway. Cynthia leaned close. "Bro, perfume expensive, voice sugar glass, and ready to cut." "You look confused," she murmured. "Honestly, I thought Melissa would have told you. This is family." "Private. I'm family," I said. It sounded small as it left my mouth. "By marriage," she said, too sweet. "Don't flatter yourself." Something loosened. The part of me that still wanted to be liked by people who had no intentions of liking me finally unclenched. I looked at Melissa again, but she didn't meet my eyes. She and her sisters were a magazine ad for ease. I wondered if their cheeks hurt from holding the pose. Footsteps. The side door swung, and out came Marcus's black jacket. White shirt, sleeves, rolled to the forearms like a man who still remembers how to carry plates. His beard is a steady line. His eyes are the kind that miss nothing. Rye Bennett, he said, and he was already smiling. He didn't shake my hand. He hugged me. Aloud in a lobby where the floor turns whispers into music, the host exhaled like someone turned off a pressure valve. Marcus, I said, clapping his shoulder. He pulled back and looked me over. You look good, he said. You still skipping dinner and eating espresso for dessert? Some habits die slow, I said. He turned to the host. This man doesn't wait, Marcus said. He's family here. We owe him, 3 pandemics worth. Cynthia blinked. Excuse me, she said. I'm the one who reserved the table. Marcus glanced at her. He's polite in a way that doesn't give ground. Good evening, he said. And you are? Cynthia Whitmore, she said. That last name dropped like a business card dipped in gold. Marcus nodded once, then turned back to me. Private room? He asked. Whatever's easiest for your floor, I said. He lowered his voice for me, not the room. Chef's table is open. I smiled. I'll take it. And your party? He asked. Eyes quick to the half-moon booth. I looked toward the window. Melissa finally looked at me then, for half a second, then away. Sure yet, I said lightly. Let's seat me. We'll see who joins. Marcus nodded and flicked 2 fingers. The host hustled to grab menus. Marcus shifted his stance, and the dining room did what it always does for him. It listened. Before we do that, Marcus said, in his regular, normal voice that carried anyway, I want to say something. Ryan Bennett is the reason the Elkhart is still the Elkhart. When we were bleeding during lockdown, when rent looked like a mountain and my books looked like a storm, he walked in here with a yellow legal pad and a plan. He negotiated with my landlord. He found us new vendors who didn't strangle us with their invoices. He bought us time, and then he bought a slice of this place so the time meant something. That was before any of you ever ordered a steak here, so if he says he needs a chair, he gets one. If he says he needs 6, he gets those too. Cynthia's smile recorded a micro-earthquake. He bought a slice, she repeated. Marcus's eyes flicked, amused. He's too modest to brag, he said, and he hates it when I do. But when I say this place owes him, I mean it. He faced me again. Chef's table, I said. He turned, and I followed him down the corridor that runs alongside the kitchen heat. Clatter men and women in whites moving like water. The chef nodded when he saw me. Bennett, he said. I've been saving the marrow bones for someone who appreciates them. You say that to all the silent partners, I said. He grinned, knife flashing, not at me. No, he said. Only the ones who show up when the sink breaks. Marcus pulled a chair at a narrow, high table where you can feel the burners in your bones and see every plate birth onto porcelain. He set down a leather-bound menu and took it back before I could touch it. No menus tonight, he said. You're eating with us. Dangerous, I said. He smiled. That's the point. The host reappeared, breathless. Mr. Bell, the Whitmore party, asked if we could hold their entrees. There. Discussing a change in seating? Of course, Marcus said. He looked at me. You want them here? I breathed in the kitchenscape garlic butter, the clean shout of a lemon just broken open. Seat Peter, I said. If he wants to come, Marcus's mouth did the smallest upward thing, I'll ask. He vanished like a card trick. I sat on that stool and watched the line. A cook torched sugar, another laid scallops down like they were fragile coins from a country no one visits. It was a cathedral of small, perfect things. Ryan. I turned. Peter stood there, hands in the pockets of his blazer like a man who has had his hands in his pockets a long time to keep them from doing what words won't. Peter works in insurance. He listens for a living. He's married to a woman who shouts for sport. Hey, I said. May I? He asked, nodding at the second stool. Please. He sat. Didn't say I'm sorry. He didn't say I didn't know. He said, I like watching how the plates come together. You and me both, I said. A runner set down 2 small plates without asking. A sliver of tuna-like glass, a small spoon of something green that tasted like spring even though it was January in a cold city. Peter took a bite, blinked, and then laughed once, surprised by delight. Good? I asked. Better than good, he said, then quiet. Cynthia shouldn't have done that. She did, I said. He looked out toward the split-swing door to the dining room and then back at the cooks. "Lindsay and Tara are staying with your table," he said. "Melissa is thinking." "Thinking?" I said. He took another bite and placed his fork down like he was laying a tool on a workbench. "I'm not proud of what I don't stop," he said. We let the room talk for us. Plates appeared, disappeared. The chef slid over a bone marrow toast with a bright herb salad that cut through the richness like a bell through fog. Peter ate slow and neat. He didn't fill silence with apologies because he knows empty apologies ring louder than plates. After the third course, the door whispered, and a shadow fell across the end of the table. Melissa, she didn't sit. She stood there with her clutch held like it might float her if the floor turned to water. Her dress was the color of an expensive secret. Her eyes did the math of 1,000 moments I wasn't in the room for. "Hi," she said to me. Not to Peter. Not to the food. To me? "Hi," I said. Marcus appeared because he has a sixth sense for conversational weather. He set another stool out, without asking, the way hosts do when they can feel a shape adjusting. "Mrs. Bennett," he said simply. She sat. Cynthia didn't come. Neither did Lindsay. Neither did Tara. Maybe they thought refusing the stool meant they still controlled the room. Maybe they just liked their window seat more than they liked being wrong. "Is this where we are now?" Melissa asked, very soft. "You and my mother, and me choosing a table?" "It's where we've been," I said. "Tonight, we just named it." She looked at the line. At the blue flame under the pan, at the cook's steady hand. "Marcus said you helped," she said. "I did," I said. "Why didn't you tell me?" She asked. I thought about the first time I walked into the Elkhart, when the dining room was dark and the kitchen smelled like a memory of dinner. Marcus had been at a two-top with his head in his hands, elbows on a ledger. I'd said, "Show me everything," and he had. We found places to cut that weren't people. We found places to spend that weren't theater. We made a map. I bought a piece when it mattered so the map would hold if the road twisted. And I didn't tell Melissa because the quiet work in me doesn't like applause. And because some part of me kept hoping her family would judge me by what I did. Not what I wore. "I gave you the outcome," I said to Melissa gently. "I didn't think you needed the resume." She looked like she might say a hard thing. Then she said an honest one. "I should have stood up when Mom tried that," she said. I froze. That's not a defense. It's the truth. Peter put his fork down again. He didn't pat her hand. He didn't rescue the silence. He let the truth sit like no one was going to throw a jacket over it because it was cold. Marcus slid 3 small glasses onto the table, ruby red, sweet. With a curl of orange peel, "House spritz," he said. To begin again, we toasted nothing and everything. The spritz tasted like summer refusing to leave. Over Melissa's shoulder, I saw the half-moon booth through the swing of the door. Cynthia's smile, aimed at the room like a spotlight that had lost its light. Lindsay's laugh had sharpened. Tara had her phone out, thumbs moving like she was taking minutes for a club I didn't want to join. Marcus leaned in. "You want me to turn their table?" he asked, low. "We can do it clean." Emergency in the kitchen. We moved them to Lounge B and let them think about chairs. "No," I said. "We're not going to teach them with tricks." "How then?" he asked. "Receipts," I said, and he smiled like a man who speaks that language. He tapped the pass. "You heard the man," he said to the line. "Make it memorable." The chef looked up, raised a knife in a salute that felt like a promise, and turned back to the pan. I didn't plan revenge. I planned clarity. Tonight wasn't about spiking someone's dinner. It was about setting a table and asking who wanted to eat there. It was about who made room for whom. Asterisk. Marcus slid water down in heavy-cut crystal and let the kitchen noise fill the spaces where words didn't know what to do with themselves. Peter and I ate in the hush that good food teaches you listen first. Talk after. The first plates came fast. A bite of tuna-like stained glass. A warm spoon of pea puree that tasted like a backyard in June. Then a little brioche topped with smoked trout so delicate I was afraid to breathe near it. Melissa watched the line the way people watch a campfire to avoid looking at each other. I froze, she said finally. Eyes on a pan flashing blue flame. I should have stood up. I didn't, and I'm sorry. Marcus set down fresh silverware like punctuation and drifted away. I don't need speeches, I said. I need moments. When it happens, she nodded, jaw tight. If I speak up, she'll turn it on me. Then you and I leave together, I said, plain as a grocery list. I won't be the designated bruise anymore. Peter exhaled, long like someone letting go of a held breath from last year. That seems fair, he said. A runner slid into small bowls. Lemon risotto finished with a line of basil oil. Melissa took a bite and closed her eyes. When she opened them, some of the grind had eased off her face. My mother thinks class is a sport, she said softly. Points for knowing which fork to pick up. Points for making other people use the wrong one. Tonight wasn't a fork problem, I said. No, she said. It wasn't. My phone buzzed on the table. A message from an unknown number. Enjoy your bar stool. Don't embarrass Melissa by making scenes. Cynthia never texts from her own phone when she wants deniability. The cadence was hers in a Wapolite poison. I turned the screen so Melissa could see. Her mouth went flat. That's her, she said. I typed back. We're at the chef's table. There's a chair here if respect is on the menu. If not, enjoy your dinner. No emoji. No heat. Send a server came with bone marrow toastrich, unashamed. Topped with a bitter herb salad and a squeeze of lemon that brightened it like someone had opened a window. The chef, knife glinting, peered over. Tell me if the salt's right, he said. It's right, I said. Marcus reappeared. Your other table asked to speak with the manager, he told me, voice even. I volunteered. Sorry, I said. Don't be, he said. I've dealt with hedge funds and health inspectors. A Whitmore in heels is not my worst Tuesday. He glanced at Melissa. There's a room with a good wallpaper if you need a quiet corner. We're good here, she said. Surprising herself a little, he nodded and slid away. We ate through a mid-course of scallops set on corn puree. Then a tiny salad of shaved fennel and orange that cut through everything before it. Melissa put her hands flat on the table. I married you because you're steady, she said. And I let other people shake you because I was scared to be the one they turned on. I'm done auditioning, I said. For anyone, she swallowed. Then I'll stop acting, she said. Tonight, the swing door hiccuped, and a wave of dining room noise rushed the pass. In the gap, I saw Cynthia standing at the host stand, smile like a billboard bright. Wrong. Too big for the street. Lindsay and Tara flanked her phones out, whispering. Peter watched me, measuring. What do you want to do right now? He asked. Eat, I said. Then I'll settle my bill. Then I'll go home with my wife. Next time there's a family dinner, we pick the place. Or we pass. His mouth twitched approval. Relief, maybe both. Clear, he said. Marcus brought the steaks himself. Ribeye charred at the edges. Buttered just enough to make sense, with a tangle of dressed greens and blistered tomatoes that popped like bright punctuation. He set a small plate of roasted carrots glazed in something smoky sweet, and a ramekin of chimichurri that looked like summer had been chopped and given a job. Eat, he said. Then let me worry about the front. We did. And for a good 5 minutes, conversation had the courtesy to let food talk. The steak was everything it needed to be simple. True. No tricks. The kitchen moved like a practiced sentence. Halfway through, the host appeared, hands folded. Mr. Bennett, he said carefully. Mrs. Whitmore wanted to confirm that your charges will be added to the Whitmore tab. She said it's only proper. Peter snorted into his napkin. Melissa stared at the host like he'd just delivered a squirrel to the table. They won't, I said. Please split checks. Whitmore, under Whitmore. Bennett, under Bell. The host nodded, a spark of relief in his eyes. Yes, sir. He started to leave, then paused, cheeks coloring. For what it's worth, he said, lower, when the restaurant was closed. Watched Mr. Bell meet a guy out front with a yellow pad. I was the one mopping. That guy looked like you, It was me, I said. Thanks for keeping my job, he said bluntly, and hurried away like he'd said something he wasn't supposed to. Melissa blinked fast. Peter folded his napkin and unfolded it again, like it was a puzzle that had turned out to be simple. Dessert was a single scoop of olive oil gelato with sea salt, and a sliver of grapefruit. It tasted like proof that contrasts belong together if you don't bully them. When the checks came, the leather folders were already labeled. Marcus had written a note on mine in pen. For the man who taught me margins don't make themselves. Me slipped my card in. The host took it and vanished. On the other side of the swing door, Cynthia's voice rose a fraction. Not a scene, she doesn't do scenes. A performance that expects an audience. Melissa's hand was on her clutch again. She didn't pick it up. I'm going with you, she said, looking at me, not the door. Good, I said. Marcus returned with the receipt. He'd discounted nothing. He knew me well enough to know I wouldn't want that. But the memo line, printed neat as a wink, read, Partner, Table 1. I signed, left a tip that made the server blink, and slid off the stool. Peter stood with me. You don't have to, I started. He shook his head. I do, he said. Walking out with you is a statement I should have made years ago. We stepped into the corridor as a runner carried a tray toward the dining room, 3 plates. Artful, balanced. He passed Cynthia without looking. She watched us approach like the last act was starting and she'd lost the script. Leaving? She asked, smile not touching her eyes. Dinner's over. I said, Your share is on our check, she said smoothly. It isn't, I said, and kept walking. Melissa, she called. Sugar scraping glass. We're not finished. Melissa paused. The old reflex tugged at her like a string. She cut it. We are, she said, voice steady. We'll talk tomorrow. With boundaries, Cynthia's smile cracked. Not much. Enough to let the room see there was a person behind it who didn't like being told no. We walked past the host stand. The host straightened, met my eye, and dipped his chin. Marcus lifted a hand from across the room like a blessing. Outside, the valet jogged up with my car. Night had fallen clean and bright. The city smelled like rain without the rain. At the curb, Melissa turned to me. Thank you, she said. For what? For not spiking the ball, she said. For just standing. That's the plan, I said. We stand. Or we leave, she got in. Peter touched the roof, an old habit, a football superstition from his college days, maybe, and stepped back. See you tomorrow, he said. At our place. No reservations required. We drove home. In the elevator, Melissa leaned her head on my shoulder, like it was a place she remembered and had been trying to find in a dark room. In our kitchen, we put the receipt on the fridge with a magnet shaped like a chili pepper. Melissa laughed at that small reel. My phone buzzed one more time. A new message from Cynthia. We will discuss this at Sunday brunch. Family only, I typed back. Asterisk, the next morning, we went to Peter and Cynthia's house. Suburban quiet, clipped hedges. Brass knocker that looks like it's been polished by generations of guilt. Peter met us at the door with coffee already poured. Cynthia was at the kitchen island, posture like a coat rack, smile like a warning label. I trust we're all over last night's theatrics, she said, stirring a cup she wasn't going to drink. We'll reset at Sunday brunch. Kenmore Club, 11 o'clock. Family only. Melissa stood a little closer to me than usual. Peter slid a plate of toast across the counter like a peace offering. I want something first, I said, and kept my voice easy. Clarity, Cynthia's smile sharpened. Clarity is always so convenient for people with smaller lives. I set an envelope on the island and slid it toward her. Inside were copies, 3 invoices from 3 years ago. The Whitmore Foundation Holiday Gala, the florist, the bakery, the quartet. All stamped paid, with my name on the wire confirmations. You called Marcus back then? I said evenly. Asked if the L cart could make it special for your charity. You told the vendors they'd get exposure instead of full payment. Exposure doesn't pay rent. When the bakery called me crying, I paid them. I paid all three, quietly. You never reimbursed anyone. Peter exhaled. Cynthia didn't blink. We give those vendors an incredible platform, she said. It's an honor to service our crowd. You didn't have to interfere. I had to make sure work got paid, I said. This isn't a bill. It's a boundary. I won't cover promises you make with other people's money. Not again. For a heartbeat, her eyes showed something besides polish. Then the curtain dropped. Sunday, 11, she repeated. Jacket required? Will come, I said. If respect is on the menu, she snorted. Try not to embarrass Melissa. Peter cleared his throat. No tests, he said softly. No tricks. We eat, we talk, or we go home. Cynthia picked up the envelope and set it aside like junk mail she'd eventually weaponize. We'll see you then, she said. Subscribe if you're listening quiet lines like that. Change more than shouting ever will. The Kenmore Club sits on a hill so green it looks fake. It's all white columns and confidence, with a lobby that smells like old wood and new money. On Sunday, we walked in together. The host's smile was professional. The tablet in his hand flickered a seating chart that already knew where it wanted us. Whitmore 11, he said. Table 456, I said. He glanced at the screen. It says 5. It's 6, Melissa said, before I could answer. Or it's 0. Peter put a hand on the rail, something like pride warming the chill that usually lives in his shoulders. 6, he said. The host's eyes flicked past us and settled on someone behind the desk. The general manager, Mr. Hargrove, measured suit, measured smile, stepped out. Good morning, he said smoothly. Ah, Mr. Bennett. We shook hands. We've met? I asked, genuinely trying to place him. In a way, he said, you and Mr. Bell saved me from a very bad quarter last year. Your operations memo on vendor terms? We copied it, line for line. Kept our kitchen floating. Marcus and his yellow pad have a longer reach than I sometimes remember. Please, Hargrove continued, glancing at the host. Make it 6, and bring out the popovers. We followed him to a round window table that looks out over a lake, pretending to be a pond. Linen, stemware, sunlight on silver. Cynthia arrived a minute later with Lindsay and Tara in tow, hair glossy, shoes sharp. She clocked the extra chair, then Mr. Hargrove, then me. Her smile didn't move. Her eyes did. Mr. Hargrove, she said. We usually prefer the corner. We're delighted to have you here, he said. Perfect neutrality. Chef is sending a few things to welcome our friends from the Elkhart. Cynthia's blink was a tiny earthquake. Friends? He nodded. We're featuring an Elkhart pop-up for the Taste of the City next month. Mr. Bell asked me to say hello to Mr. Bennett. The popovers arrived cold, steaming with whipped honey butter that made me consider forgiving people purely on principle. The server set them down with a small card, compliments of Chef and our friends at the Elkhart. Cynthia's fork paused. Lindsay's eyebrows jumped like she was watching a show that suddenly got interesting. Tara tried to take a photo discreetly. She's not good at discreet. Let's order, Peter said, like a quarterback calling a play everyone could handle. Menus opened. Waiters hovered. Orders went in. Mimosas did their bright thing. We talked about nothing as if it paid a mortgage, whether a niece's recital, a golf handicap that kept making and unmaking itself, halfway through the shrimp and grits. Mr. Hargrove returned with a small microphone and a practiced smile. The dining room quieted the way rooms do when they smell ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, he said. Before dessert, a brief thank you. This club is lucky to work with local partners who care about the people behind the scenes, our cooks. Servers, dishwashers, vendors. During the hard months, the Elkhart restaurant stood up for all of us. We're recognizing them today with a small plaque in the foyer. And because organizations are people, we want to thank one person who did the unglamorous work budgets, renegotiations, spreadsheets that saved jobs. He glanced to our table. Mr. Ryan Bennett. I shook my head once, small, but the room had already started to clap. Not a standing ovation, just honest, warm sound. I stayed seated. I lifted a hand. Thank you, I said, keeping my voice low. No, Mike. Please tip your servers. And be kind to whoever's washing your plates. A better man than I would pretend he didn't. Enjoy the look on Cynthia's face, a calculus undone. I didn't gloat. I buttered a popover. It tasted like relief. Later, when coffee arrived and dessert cardamom scented the table, I set a folded bill-shaped slip near Cynthia's plate. It wasn't a bill. It was a copy of the Elcott's receipt from Thursday mine with a pen line I'd added above the signature. Separate checks going forward. Respect is the tip. She read it. For once, she didn't have a quick line. She tucked the paper into her clutch like it was hot to the touch. Why does Marcus trust you so much? Lindsay asked suddenly, curiosity finally outrunning meanness. Because I showed up when there wasn't anything in it for me, I said. And because I don't ask him to bend rules for my friends. Flashback came easy, an empty dining room during lockdown. Chairs upside down. Marcus had a two-top with a ledger open and a look in his eyes I recognized from my father the year the diner almost. Dyed fear held quiet so it wouldn't scare the staff. Show me, I'd said. We made a list. Vendors he could renegotiate. Suppliers who'd offer net 45 if we promised loyalty. A landlord who'd blink if we got him to think long-term. I bought a tiny slice of the place because faith without skin in the game is just a speech. And earlier than that, the first week, I met Cynthia. She'd asked if I could talk to my connection. To bump her friend's name up a hospital list for a procedure that didn't need bumping. I told her no. She never forgave me for treating rules like they were for everyone. Brunch ended. Checks came. 2 leather folders. Peter reached for one, and I let him. I took the other. Cynthia tried one last parry. You didn't need to drag the restaurant into family business, she said, voice silk over stone. I didn't, I said. I asked for Marcus. The rest came because of what I'd already done. That's how receipts work. We stood. Chairs scraped softly. Mr. Hargrove was at the door with the plaque he'd mentioned taste partner, the Elcott engraved. Marcus's name was on it. Underneath, Operations Advisor Ryan Bennett. The font was small. It was enough. Thank you, I told him. Thank you, he said. The dishwashers asked me to say it twice. In the parking lot, Melissa slid her hand into mine like she'd decided where it belonged. You weren't mean, she said. You were clear. That's the point, I said. Clarity is cheaper than revenge. Peter came up beside us, hands in pockets like always. You're coming by tonight? He asked. I'm grilling. It's just us. No performance. We said we would. He nodded. He looked different. Like the weight on his shoulders knew there was a place to land that wasn't Cynthia's good china. Cynthia stood by her car, clutch clamped, sunglasses on though the sun had ducked behind a cloud. She watched us without waving. At home, we put the Kenmore receipt on our fridge next to a grocery list. It looked funny up there, linen and ink and a magnet shaped like a chili pepper. Melissa laughed. Next time, she said. We pick the place. Or we pass, I said. Or we pass, she echoed. And kissed me in the doorway like a period at the end of a sentence that had taken too long to write. Asterisk. You want to know why Marcus hugged me in a lobby and why Cynthia can't even say thank you without tasting metal? It isn't luck or a single clever line at the host stand. It's a trail of small choices that started long before. The Elcott had linen again. Scene 1. The diner that taught me math and Mercy I. Grew up in a place where the coffee carafe never got a break. Bennett's on state. A narrow diner with a counter that remembered elbows. My dad, Mike, owned it. My mom, Laura, ran the pass on Saturdays. When Shirley called in with the weather, I learned fractions on a griddle and how to read faces from the corner stool while Dad figured out if a regular needed pie or just wanted someone to say his name. When I was 19, the Great Recession put a hand on our shoulder. Tuesday mornings got thin. Lunch rush slowed to a polite stroll. Vendors don't care about your feelings. They care about checks. I started sitting in Dad's office with a yellow legal pad, calling Rivertown Linen in Montgomery, Produce, and the guy who swore his eggs were practically free range if you don't look too hard. Mr. Bennett, say, We've paid you on the nail for 8 years. I need net 30 this month. I'll give you my word and a plan. I'd lay it out. What we could cut that wasn't ours. What we could stretch that wasn't our bacon. The small miracle was, if you show people a map and keep your promises, they give you time. Not all of them. Enough we closed 2 years later. Not because we didn't try. Because sometimes the math stops being a story you can edit. Dad paid every vendor. Every last one. He closed with a kind of dignity that doesn't make the paper, but should. People remember if you paid them, he told me. Untying his apron for the last time. They remember if you yelled too. That was lesson 1. Receipts aren't just paper. They're how people tell each other who you are. Scene 2. The first ask, I didn't say yes. Toy met Melissa at a fundraiser, which is funny because now I avoid them like cheap shrimp. She was at a side table laughing with a girl in a silver dress, her hair up. Eyes defiant and bright in a way that didn't match the room. We talked about dog rescues and books and how both of us loved the secret city you find when you walk early on Sundays. The second time I saw her, we were in a hospital waiting room. Her dad needed a minor procedure. Nothing dramatic, just the kind of day that turns hours into slow soup. Cynthia arrived late, looked at the clipboard like it had personally offended her, and leaned toward me with a smile that asked for things without saying please. Ryan, she said, you work with business people, important people. Could you make a call? Get us in sooner? Peter has a meeting. It wasn't a question. It was a test. No, I said. No one jumps the line because their calendar is fancy. She laughed the exact way someone laughs when they want the room to know they find you quaint. You'll understand someday, she said. The world runs on relationships. It runs on rules, I said. Or it breaks. In that moment. She decided something about me that took years to pry off. Not connected enough, not useful enough, not enough. I didn't change. I made a note, do not barter ethics for access. Scene 3. The gala that sent a bakery crying 3 years ago. Cynthia asked Marcus if the Elkhart would help elevate the Whitmore Foundation holiday gala. She wanted a dessert table that looked like a magazine cover. She told the bakery and florist they'd get exposure and a handshake. When the bills came due, exposure suddenly meant wait. Angie Torres, the baker, called me crying. It was a Tuesday night. She'd met me at the diner years ago when Dad was still PDA scrolling for pie recipes. Ryan, she said, I can't float this. December rent doesn't care about exposure. I paid her. I paid Jerome the florist. I paid the quartet because the cellist, Naomi, had a leak in her roof and music isn't tarp. I didn't bill Cynthia. I didn't send a speech. I sent receipts and a quiet promise to myself. Never again. That bought me something I didn't plan on, a network of people who make cities work. Not the kind who work rooms. The kind who show up before the room wakes. They talk. They remember. They send you names you should know when a kitchen is 1 rent away from a for-lease sign. Scene 4. The night. The Elcott's lights almost went out. Angie introduced me to Marcus. She said he's good. He's proud. He'll need help, and he'll hate asking. Sound familiar? The first night I walked into the Elkhart after hours. Chairs were on tables like a forest of legs, and the ledger on Marcus's two-top looked like a storm map. We drank stale coffee and made a list. Who would take net 30 if we promised loyalty? How to turn a wine program into cash flow instead of a museum? What kind of letter a landlord reads twice? We found the lines that weren't people and cut there. We found the spend that wasn't vanity and kept it. I put skin in the game, not a fortune, but enough to matter if the floor went out. Why? Marcus asked me once when it was 3 a.m. and we'd found $5,000 in a place everyone else had stopped. Looking because someone did it for my dad once, I said. And because I like owning a tiny corner of some place that feeds people, right? He nodded. He never forgot. Scene 5. The wedding day, I thought I could laugh. Through our wedding was beautiful in the way weddings are vows and flowers and a cake that turned out to be worth the hype. Also, seating cards mixed up. So my mother was at a table by the kitchen door next to a speaker that popped every time the mic hiccuped. I traded cards with Aunt Ruth and didn't make a scene. I told myself, pick your battles. During photos, Cynthia said, clean up better than I expected. I laughed because if I didn't, I'd have to decide things I wasn't ready to decide. People think compromise is an adult word. Sometimes it's just the word you use when you're scared. Scene 6. The note Melissa slipped under a doorknot. Every flashback stars Cynthia. Some star, the woman I married, trying to be two people at once. The Thanksgiving her mother forgot to put my name on the place card. Melissa found me in the pantry where the extra napkins live and slipped a note in my hand. I'm sorry. My mom is like weather. I wrote back, weather doesn't choose. People do. She cried quietly, the way people cry who weren't given the tools to talk to storms. She is not her mother. She's a person who learned a language early and is still unlearning it. Scene 7, the line I wouldn't cross a year into the marriage. A Whitmore cousin asked if I could make a spreadsheet sing so their company could look healthier for a loan. Just present things more optimally, he said. That's not a spreadsheet problem. That's a conscience problem, no, I said. The numbers are the numbers. If you want them to sing, fix the tune, not the sheet. He told Cynthia I wasn't a team player. The funny thing about teams is you only want to be on the kind that plays fair. Back to now. Why I asked for Marcus O when Cynthia tried to play me out of a dining room. I didn't ask for a scene. I asked for the man whose ledger I'd memorized. The kitchen I'd stood in at midnight, the space where I'd done unglamorous work. It wasn't a stunt. It was home turf because I helped build part of the field. Marcus hugging me in the lobby wasn't about showing off. It was about a relationship built in the quiet hours. And when Mr. Hargrove at the Kenmore Club thanked me, it wasn't a setup. It was the invisible chain of favors that started when my dad taught me to pay people, and Marcus taught me how to keep the doors open without selling our soul. This isn't a revenge story. It's a repair story. I kept choosing receipts over rumors, work over theater, boundaries over cleverness. Cynthia kept choosing performance. Melissa is learning a third choice. Backbone, so no. I didn't stumble into last Thursday and get lucky. I walked in with years of choices sitting behind my eyes like a board of directors. I didn't need Cynthia to like me. I needed to like the man who took the stool. Sunday night, our apartment felt like a place you could hear your own breath. The Kenmore receipt was still on the fridge under the chili pepper magnet. Melissa set 2 mugs on the counter and leaned into the island like she was bracing for a wave that might or might not come. She's going to try a different angle, she said. She always does, I said. So we make one thing simple. If respect isn't on the table, we don't sit. We wrote it down, literally, on a sticky note. Big block letters. No, just us girls invitations that exclude your spouse. If disrespect starts, we leave together. No drop-ins. Text first. If we say no, it's no. Family conversations happen with both of us. Not at all. Melissa stuck it on the fridge next to the receipt. House rules, she said. Half a smile, half steel. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Then another. Then Cynthia, of course, from a different line than she'd used at the club. The message was a velvet hammer. Brunch was lovely. The applause thing was tacky. Let's restore normal. Spa Wednesday ladies only. I've booked facials. I'll add yours if you confirm you're coming alone. Another text followed before Melissa could breathe. Also, we need to protect your inheritance. Ryan should not be making public scenes that confuse the board about who is family. Don't let his need for attention cost you security. Melissa stared at the screen like it had confessed to a crime. She thinks it's a game, she said quietly. Move pieces. Keep the board. What do you want to do? I asked. She typed without asking my permission because she didn't need it. No spa. No more excluding Ryan. We'll see you Tuesday at 7 at our place, if you can be respectful. Otherwise, we'll try again next month with Peter. The dots pulsed like a heartbeat. Then, you're being manipulated. He's not one of us. Melissa breathed out slow. I am not one of you, if you is this, she wrote back. 7 p.m., respectfully, or we press pause. No reply. Silence came in like a tide. Subscribe if your listening boundaries look small until you try to pick them up. Monday morning, Cynthia tried the back door, a message to me, then to Marcus, then to Peter's office. Mine read like a lawyer wrote it on a sugar high. Humiliation at the Kenmore Club is not how gentlemen behave. You've compromised Melissa's standing. We will speak to Peter's advisors about estate protections if this continues. I poured coffee. I didn't reply. I did 3 things instead. First, I changed the door code. Not because I expected a blitz, but because peace is sometimes a lock. Second, I called a therapist who specializes in family systems, Marla Green. LCSW. She'd helped a friend of mine navigate a mother-in-law who thought drop-in Sunday meant move-in Sunday. We want tools, I told her. Not ammo. She gave us Wednesday at 5. Third, the private call that would shift a public narrative rang Marcus. 2 things, I said. 1, please don't use my name unless you have to. I'm not a main character. 2, what if we turn the Kenmore thank you into something bigger, vendor fairness? On time pay pledge, a little public spine for the people who make rooms run. He was quiet long enough that I could hear the sound of a knife tapping a board. I've wanted to do that for 2 years, he said. I'll call Hargrove. We'll announce it Taste of the City. We make it about dishwashers and florists and bakers. You can stand in the back and scowl if anyone claps at you. I'll be near the door, I said. He laughed. Of course you will. After lunch. Angie the baker texted me a screenshot of a neighborhood forum thread. Some society types don't pay bills. Don't bake for exposure. Underneath, a dozen comments from vendors who'd worked Cynthia's events. No names. Enough smoke to suggest a fire. Angie wrote, do you want me to name names? I typed back, don't. Let's build a pledge instead. Give people a way to be better in public. She sent a cupcake emoji and a heart. Then proud of you. Proud of Melissa at home that night. Melissa and I did something small that felt like laying a cornerstone. We set 2 chairs at our tiny dining table, not 6. We put water in the good glasses. We wrote a script we could stick to if Tuesday happened. You're welcome here. Insults end the evening. No, just us business. If you want to talk money or inheritance, Peter needs to be here. If you need to yell, not our address, Melissa practiced the hardest line. Mom, I love you. If you talk down to my husband again, we won't see you for a while. She said it into the quiet room. The room didn't break. Neither did she. Tuesday morning, Cynthia tried one more angle through work. An email pinged Melissa's inbox from the head of PR at a client firm. We've received concerns about your husband's behavior at a private club. We don't do gossip, but Ms. Whitmore implied reputational risk. I thought you should know. Melissa called, not emailed. Thanks for the heads up. Here's the context. We left a dinner where my husband was intentionally excluded. We later attended a club brunch where the GM thanked him for work that saved local jobs. No scenes. Quick applause. Then we left. If that's reputational risk, it's the kind I can live with. Copy that, the PR head said. For what it's worth, I hate unpaid invoices more than bad coffee. The vendor pledge your husband's restaurant is doing. We'd like to sign. That was Marcus. Already moving, at 6:55 Tuesday night, a car pulled up. We both heard it and didn't move to the door like puppies. We waited for the knock. Peter stood there with a pie from a supermarket. And the look of a man who still isn't sure what peace costs. She's not coming, he said softly. Said she won't be put on trial. Dinner anyway, Melissa said, relieved and sad at the same time. No trial. Just pasta we ate. We talked about small things on purpose, his college football superstition where he taps the roof of the car, the neighbor who waters her plants with a wine glass, the way our hallway light makes ghosts out of coats if you hang them wrong. When he left, he lingered at the door like words were knocking from the other side. I didn't stop her because it seemed easier not to, he said to his shoes. That wasn't fair to you. Or to my daughter. Change is louder than sorry, I said. And slower. He nodded. I'll be slow and loud, he said, almost smiling, and headed down the hall. Wednesday. 4:59 p.m., Melissa squeezed my hand in Marla Green's waiting room. Marla's office had a soft rug and a box of tissues that didn't get used because the work was about practice. Not fall out, we told her the whole thing, the lobby, the chef's table, the brunch, the texts, the plaque, the pledge, the sticky note on our fridge. Marla wrote 3 phrases on a small whiteboard. No convincing. Only choices. Boundaries are promises you make to yourself. Repair greater than revenge. Your line. She asked me, I won't ask my wife to cut off her mother, I said. I won't weaponize my friendships to humiliate her family. I won't be baited into a public performance. I will leave if I'm disrespected. I will protect our home, and I will not make Peter choose on my timeline. Marla nodded at Melissa. Yours. I won't stand still while my husband is used as a prop, she said. I won't attend family events alone. I won't let fear make my decisions. If mom escalates, I pause contact. I don't explain it 10 times. I do it once. That's a vow, Marla said. Hang it where you can see it. We went home and did exactly that, typed it clean, printed it, tucked it under the chili pepper magnet next to the Kenmore receipt and the boundary sticky. Our fridge had become a bulletin board for the life we were choosing by Thursday. Marcus sent me a mock-up of the vendor fairness pledge. Logos at the bottom. The Elkhart. Kenmore Club. 3 more places I recognized. 2 I didn't. The header read, "We pay on time, in full, with pride," underneath. A line I'd suggested but didn't claim. Good rooms are built by people you don't see. We respect them in our budgets, not just our speeches. That line's yours, Marcus texted. Don't punch me. I'm putting it on the taste banners. Make the font small, I wrote. Medium, he replied. Fight me. Cynthia posted on her socials that evening something barbed and polished about family concerns and outsiders and private matters being made. Spectacular. It didn't land the way it used to. Underneath, instead of the usual chorus, there were comments like, "Love the vendor pledge. Can the foundation sign?" And "Proud of our local restaurants for taking care of their teams." That's what a quiet phone call can do. It tilts the floor so the ball rolls in a different direction. We slept that night with the windows cracked. Rain finally came. The kind that makes the city smell new. We hosted on a Thursday, kind of Cincinnati evening where the sky looks like it's holding on to blue just long enough for everyone to make it home. We set the table for 6. We set the tone for 2. On our door, taped under the peephole, a 4x6 card in clean black letters. Welcome. We speak with respect here, no sidebars. No, just us girls. No insults. If they start, we pause. Choices not convincing. Shoes optional. Kindness required. Inside, the food was simple on purpose. Roast chicken with lemon, potatoes that had listened to butter, a big salad that looked like it had been sung to. 2 good glasses for water, no wine. Not because we don't drink, but because clarity had better odds without it. We put a wooden spoon on the table like a prop. Whoever held it spoke. Everyone else listened. Not therapy, just training wheels for a family that skipped learn to ride. Ready? Melissa asked. As we'll ever be, I said. At 6:57, the intercom buzzed. Lindsay and Tara first, which surprised me. They stood in the hallway with a bouquet and expressions borrowed from people who had expected to be offended already and weren't. Sure what to do without it. Flowers, Lindsay said, thrusting them forward like a legal document. From the farmer's market, they're beautiful, Melissa said. Thanks. Tara's eyes cut to the wooden spoon. What's that? She asked, half a smirk, half a genuine question. Talking stick, I said. Chef's edition. They exchanged a look. I didn't mind not reading. We did the awkward greeting. The where do we choose shuffle, and then the kitchen gathered them the way kitchens do. Melissa handed them plates to carry to the table. It's hard to sneer when your hands are full of bowls someone else cooked for you. Peter. Arrived next with a paper bag that turned out to be rolls and a jar of pickles from a neighbor who puts love and a little rebellion into brine. He looked relieved to be somewhere that didn't require him to measure every sentence. At 7:09, the intercom buzzed again. Cynthia Melissa met her at the door. She let the moment sit a second. That was new. "Hi, Mom," she said. "Read the card." Cynthia read it. Her mouth did something small and tight. She stepped in like the carpet might be a test. She was alone. No entourage, no extra plus ones. No pastor who just happened to be in the neighborhood. The bouquet Lindsay had brought softened a corner of the room. The wooden spoon on the table did the rest. "You've turned your apartment into a seminar," Cynthia said. Faint amusement, faint contempt. "We turned it into our home," Melissa said. "Dinner." Briefly, Cynthia said, "I have a board call." "Phones go in the bowl," I said, nodding to the blue ceramic near the door. "We'll return them after dessert." Cynthia lifted her eyebrows at me. "We aren't in high school, correct?" I said. "We're in our home." Lindsay shrugged, dropped her phone into the bowl. Tara did too, performative and then oddly relieved. Peter's phone followed. Melissa put hers in last. Cynthia kept hers in her clutch and walked to the table like we'd asked her to surrender a passport. The seat at the head of the table, our stayed ours. 2 seats open on the long side. One open at the foot. "Mom," Melissa said. Gesturing to the chair next to me, Cynthia glanced at it and then at the chair at the foot of the table. The choice sat there with the roasted chicken and the salad tongs. "That one," she said, chin toward the far chair. "It feels more appropriate." "Any seat that comes with respect is appropriate," Melissa said, calm as a lake. "Sit where you can follow the rules." Cynthia's jaw set. She moved to the couch and sat, clutched still in her lap, a queen on a bad throne. "I'll observe," she said. That was refusal. That was also a foot in the door. We served plates anyway. We didn't chase her. We didn't make a case. We ate. We spoke with the spoon. "Peter," I said, passing him the wooden handle. "You start." He cleared his throat, held the spoon like a small microphone and said, "The chicken smells great." Then, after a beat, "I'd like to do this more." Not the spoon. The eating. "Without a show, me too," Melissa said when the spoon came to her. "I want family that doesn't require scripts." Tara took a bite, glanced at Lindsay and said, "I always thought roast chicken was boring." "This isn't it." Counted as participation. I took it. Cynthia watched like a person watching a show they didn't pay for. But my critique anyway. I held the spoon when it came to me. "No speeches," I said. "Just this. The door is open when respect is. It's closed when it isn't. We're not begging anyone to like us. We're inviting people to be with us. That's it." I set the spoon down. Peter reached for potatoes like that had been enough small, clear, no barbs. Halfway through the meal, the bowl by the door buzzed. Cynthia's clutch trembled. She didn't move for it. Small victory, Lindsay noticed. Her eyes clicked, just a little, to her mother's hand. Something shifted a centimeter. "Vendor pledge," Tara said suddenly, surprising even herself. "I saw it online. That thing the Elkhart and the club are doing?" "Mom, the foundation should sign." Cynthia's head snapped. "We pay our vendors," she said, crisp. Mostly Lindsay murmured, not looking at her. "When it's not convenient, we're late." Cynthia's eyes cut to me like I'd whispered in their ears while they slept. I hadn't. The city had. "The pledge is public," I said. It's using my normal voice. Not the one I use when people need me to be big. It's accountability, not shaming. "Optics," Cynthia said, "which you seem to enjoy." "Stability," I said, "which your vendors would like to enjoy." Silence. Not angry, not heavy, considering Cynthia stood. "I won't be lectured in my daughter's kitchen," she said. By a man who Mom Melissa said, "Not loud, factual." Rule 2. Cynthia stopped. She wasn't used to a stop sign she didn't install. "Sit," Melissa added, gentler. "If you can sit and be kind, sit. If not, I'll call you tomorrow." Your choice. There it was. The seat offered again on new terms. Cynthia looked at the chair next to me like it was a test she didn't study for. She looked at the one at the foot of the table. She looked at her daughters, who were doing a very good job of holding their faces neutral and their spines straight. She looked at Peter, who had found something fascinating in his green beans. She put her clutch on the sideboard. She sat in the chair at the foot of the table, in the room our little dining room with its second-hand chairs and the windows that rattle in. March did not explode. Past the salad. She said, "We did." Dinner wasn't a miracle. It was a practice. People ate. People held the spoon. Nobody bled. We cleared plates. I brought out a small dessert I'd made badly on purpose. A humble pan of brownies. Lindsay laughed. "You bought the Elkhart a fancy oven and you made boxed brownies." "I like boxed brownies," I said. "They don't require an argument." We stacked dishes. Cynthia stood and picked up a platter. She hesitated, like she was waiting for a trap that wasn't coming. She carried it to the sink, washed it, and dried it with a towel that says, "Please don't do cocaine in the bathroom," and tiny script-a-gag gift from a friend with a dumb sense of humor. She didn't comment. That felt like growth. At the door, phones returned, shoes collected. "Weather forecasted, Saturday is Taste of the City," Melissa said, neutral. "We'll be there at 6. If you come, be kind to the people behind the tables." Cynthia lifted her chin an inch. "The foundation will attend," she said. "We'll bring a check. And if I sign your little pledge, it's because it's practical, not because it's yours." "Doesn't matter why," I said. "Only that you do." She looked at me for a long time. Not the glare, not the varnish, the person. "You did humiliate me," she said, almost conversational. "By not playing the part you were given." "I stopped playing mine," I agreed. "You can stop playing yours too." She didn't answer. She picked up her clutch. She walked out into the hallway. She didn't slam anything. Peter lingered. He tapped the door frame with his fingertips. "Pasta next week?" he asked. "Always," Melissa said. After they left, we stood in the kitchen and listened to the apartment settle. Melissa leaned her hip against the counter and looked at the wooden spoon. "We're keeping that," she said. "We are." Subscribe. If you're still with me, next part is the night the city watched and the curtain finally fell the right way. Taste of the City landed on a Saturday that smelled like rain shaking hands with heat. The Civic Center buzzed. Twinkle lights, vendor booths, chalkboard menus, and the hum of 100 tiny miracles that make a city taste like itself. The Elcott's booth sat under a banner that Marcus and I argued about, and he won. We pay on time. In full with pride, good rooms are built by people you don't see. Below it were logos the Elkhart. Kenmore Club, for other places that had signed on. At the edge of the table, a stack of vendor fairness pledge cards. People took them the way they take mints, habit at first. Then purpose. Mr. Hargrove waved from the club's booth across the aisle. Angie had a tower of tiny cupcakes that looked like confetti froze midair and decided to be dessert. Jerome's flowers leaned into the summer with that shrug good flowers have. "We're here. We're enough." "Hey," Marcus said, bumping my shoulder. "Door position?" "Always," I said, claiming a spot near the aisle where I could watch the flow. Haul ice if needed, and pretend I wasn't part of anything. The crowd filled in. Melissa looped an arm around my waist and then let go to hug Angie, to kiss Jerome's cheek. To take a pledge card and tuck it into her clutch like a receipt she'd keep. At 6 sharp, the stage mic popped and the MC local radio voice, friendly, big welcomed everyone, shouted out sponsors and nodded at our banner. "This year we're adding something," he said. "The Vendor Fairness Pledge. If you're a restaurant or a club or a caterer, sign it. If you're a customer, ask your favorites if they have. People don't eat if invoices don't. Applause. Real." Marcus hates speeches, so Mr. Hargrove did the quick thank you. He was halfway through his 2 lines when the first misfire of the night tried to happen. Cynthia stepped up beside the stage, hair perfect, a check in a cream envelope held like a dove she'd trained. A woman from the foundation trailed her with a phone poised for photos. Lindsay and Tara were there too, less shiny, more watchful. On behalf of the Whitmore Foundation, Cynthia said into the mic that wasn't offered, "We're proud to support local vendors. We have always valued Mr. Hargrove did a lovely thing." He took the envelope, smiled like he was receiving a casserole, and held it without opening it. "Thank you," he said. "We'll put that toward the vendor support fund." Then he turned the mic slightly away, and per the pledge rules, he added, "Donations are lovely. Signatures matter more." He pointed gently to the banner, to the table with the cards, to the line where the foundation's logo could go. He didn't say, "Sign or sit." He didn't have to. Cynthia's teeth showed for a second reflex. Not smile. She took the pen. The flash on the phone went off. When she finished, Angie's voice floated up from somewhere near the cupcakes. "Thank you for the check you sent this afternoon, Miss Whitmore," she said, bright and clear. It closed the loop from the gala. "Much appreciated. Not a drag. Not a dunk. Thanks." The kind that glows and burns at the same time. The room felt it. So did Cynthia. She nodded. It looked almost like a bow. I don't mind telling you I enjoyed that moment. Not because she stumbled. Because the city stood. The MC wrapped it fast and moved us back to the food. People lined up. People ate. People signed. A dishwasher from a place I'd never heard of shook my hand like I'd built him a bridge. "It's nice to be in the sentence," he said. I wanted to put that on a shirt, around 7. A food writer with a notebook and the radical gift of listening found me near the aisle. "You're the back-of-house guy, right?" she asked. "Operations. Quiet ownership. Quiet everything," I said. "Most days." "What's the story?" she asked. "Who owns what? Who decides what?" Here's what I told her, plain. I own a minority stake in the Elkhart because when things were bad, I put money and sweat in. Marcus is the owner who bleeds for it. I'm the guy who cares about margins and invoices and water heaters before they explode. Ownership's not a velvet rope. It's a plunger. Titles don't matter if you're not paying people. "If the dishwashers aren't okay, the dining room is lying," she wrote faster. "And the family stuff?" "Boundaries," I said. "Receipts. My marriage comes with respect or distance. We pick the place, or we pass." "Can I quote you?" She asked. "Quote the banner," I said. "The dishwashers. The baker. That's the story," she smiled. "You sound like an owner." "Only on paper," I said. In the kitchen, I'm a runner. Later, I caught Melissa talking to Lindsay and Tara near Jerome's Blooms. The sisters looked tired of being audience and ready to audition for a different play. Tara held a pledge card. Lindsay held a broom no joke. She'd snagged it from a cleanup crew and was sweeping without making an aria out of it. Cynthia hovered at a distance with 3 board members. Posture locked, eyes calculating the angles of a room that had stopped listening to angles. Peter arrived late, kissed Melissa's cheek, and stood next to me like a second doorway. "You did this right," he said. Very low. "Marcus did," I said. "You did," he said back, and didn't argue. Near 8. Chefs sent out small plates with handwritten cards clipped to toothpicks. Who made it, what they made, who got paid to make it. People took pictures of the food and the card together. Small shift. Big meaning. Cynthia approached finally with the envelope, now folded into thirds. "I signed your pledge," she said. "Practical good," I said. "Practical is my love language." She almost smiled. "You're not going to stop disliking me," she said, a little amused, a little curious. "I'm going to keep not auditioning," I said. "You can keep not controlling. Between those, there's a decent life for all of us." She glanced toward the stage where Mr. Hargrove and Marcus were shaking hands like people who've fought and decided to fight together next time. She looked back at me. "You embarrassed me," she said, but this time it didn't sound like a weapon. It sounded like a statement you put on a shelf. "You embarrassed me," I said. "We're square." She nodded once. "Sunday. Pasta at our place," she offered, and then added, almost playful, "phones in a bowl." "Your house," I said. "Your bowl," Respect on the table, she said. It's testing the taste of the words. Or we pass, I said. She didn't flinch. She didn't love it. She didn't have to. We packed up at 9. The banner came down. Marcus handed me the pole like a baton. You going to hang this in your office? He asked. In my closet, I said. Next to the good shirt, he laughed. You're a menace, he said. Stay that way. The last dinner a week later, we did Sunday pasta at Peter and Cynthia's. No brass knocker speeches. No seating charts coded to wound. Phones in a cut crystal bowl, because tradition doesn't have to be a trap. The wooden spoon came with us in a tote, because practice is practice, not place. Cynthia surprised herself by using it first. I don't apologize well, she said, throat tight. But I don't want my grandchildren to learn contempt in my kitchen. Me neither, Melissa said. Passing her the salad tongs without making anything of it, Peter put garlic bread on a plate and murmured to it like it was a skittish horse. Lindsay and Tara argued lightly about whether boxed brownies are morally superior, because they always taste like the thing you wanted in the first place. We ate, we didn't test. We didn't teach. We behaved. Halfway through, Cynthia tried a small old trick, just to see if the floor still sloped her way. Ladies, she said, tossing a look at the hallway, help me with the plates. Peter and I have 2 hands, I said, standing. Melissa didn't look at me for permission. She looked at Cynthia and said, everyone lives here. Everyone carries. She stood too. Lindsay and Tara followed. Peter grabbed the platter like he'd been waiting his whole life to be told exactly what to do. Cynthia paused, did the math in the air, and then picked up the water pitcher. Fine, she said, and led the parade to the kitchen. Progress, 5 ounces at a time. After dessert boxed. Fight me. We sat in the living room. Peter turned on the lamp that makes the room look like it's in a 1970s photograph. Melissa tucked her legs under her like a person who might stay. Cynthia looked at the wooden spoon on the coffee table and shook her head. Small, almost smiling. You're keeping it, aren't you? She said. Until we don't need it, I said. We will always need it, Peter said. And there was laughter where there used to be echoes. Cynthia cleared her throat. The foundation signed the pledge, she said. Less for me, more for herself. Invoices paid net 15, net 30, by exception only. Board approved it. Vendors will notice, I said. I noticed, she said, a little wry. Our gala budget did too. Budgets are how truth pays rent, I said. She rolled her eyes so gently it might have been affection. We didn't hug it out. We didn't stage a photo. We walked out to the porch with a leftover plate wrapped in foil and a list of streaming shows we all pretended we might watch. On the way down the steps, Peter did his rooftop superstition. It felt like a blessing. Epilogue. The wooden spoon, the chili pepper, the door life didn't turn into a montage. That's not how people work. Cynthia slips sometimes. She's fluent in a language she learned young. When she slips, Melissa pauses contact and doesn't explain it 10 times. I don't argue in lobbies. I pick up the spoon. Peter brings rolls. Lindsay and Tara bring flowers that don't need to be weaponized to be beautiful. The vendor fairness. Pledge became a thing bigger than us. 12 places signed. Then 24. The banner lives in my closet with the good shirt. On the fridge in our apartment, under the chili pepper magnet, the Kenmore receipt still sits next to our vow, the sticky note house rules, and a crooked photo of Melissa laughing at a spoon. Marcus added a quiet line too. The Elkhart employee manual, if the dishwashers aren't okay, the dining room is lying. The new hires underline it on day 1 like it's gospel. And me. I'm still the door guy. I stand near the edge and make sure the people who build the room get paid. That my wife doesn't have to choose between comfort and courage. That my home stays a place where respect is non-negotiable. We pick the place or we pass. We sit or we leave. We repair or we rest. Cynthia asked me once, in a moment when no one else was listening, will you ever like me? I told her the truth. I don't know, but I can live with you. On these terms, she nodded. On these terms, she said back. The last line of our story isn't clever. It isn't even a line. It's a door that opens when it should and closes when it must. It's a wooden spoon in a drawer and a chili pepper magnet on a fridge and a receipt that reads, paid. In full, if you listened this far, thanks for walking with us. Be kind to your servers. Tip your dishwashers in, how you vote, and how you budget. And if someone tells you there's no seat for you, check the room. Sometimes you're the one who built the table.